ASC is fast forwarding into the year 2022. But throughout the history, what moments have you missed? Well, this series will highlight some of the best moments that have happened throughout ASC's universe history. Moments from the NASCAR Verizon Cup Series, NFL, NBA, and MLB. This is Through the Ages. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the 2020 to 2021 NFL Season Sim playoffs. The 2020 season was very crazy for the NFL, not just because we had a crazy situation in our world due to COVID, but to the many injuries and trades that we had. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski reuniting in Tampa Bay, Stephon Diggs getting paired up with Josh Allen, and the Washington Redskins turning into the Washington football team due to acts of racism accused by the fans. So, let's jump right into it with the AFC standings. Kansas City on top for the third year in a row in the AFC at 13-3. Buffalo, the Ravens, Titans, Steelers, Browns making their first ever playoff appearance, and the Colts now with Phillip Rivers. And another thing to note, 7 teams in the playoffs, not 6. The 1 seat is the only team with the bye. But yes, Cleveland makes the playoffs for the first time with Baker Mayfield. In the NFC, Seattle gets the 1 seat for the first time. Green Bay is back in the playoffs. Tom Brady wins the NFC South in his first season. And for the first time ever, a losing record team makes the playoffs with the Washington football team winning the NFC East. The Cowboys, suffering many injuries, missed it, with the Saints, Rams, and 49ers closing out the wild card. And for the first time, we have Super Wild Card Weekend. 6 games across 12 teams. So here we go. Let's start with it. The 7th-seed Colts and the 2-seed Buffalo Bills. Buffalo winning it 27-17. Phillip Rivers, making his second ever playoff appearance, could not get the job done and announced retirement after this game. Josh Allen and the Bills will host another divisional round game to try and get back to the AFC Championship game they were in last year and try to get redemption. Stephon Diggs was the leading receiver for Buffalo. Tom Brady playing in his second career wildcard game, this time with the win 30-21 over the defending Super Bowl runner-ups, in the Los Angeles Rams, who had a terrible season going 10-7, and Jared Goff questions on whether he'll return to the Rams next year. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers making their first ever playoff appearance. They win by 9. The Saints win 27-9, wrapping up the Saturday's Super Wildcard Weekend. The Washington football team had a crazy season. Started with Dwayne Haskins. Alex Smith played for a while, but he got hurt with an ankle. Taylor Heineke made his first career start in a playoff game, which he did not do too well. The Saints, along with Baltimore and Kansas City, are the only 3 teams that have never missed a playoff appearance, and the Saints move on to the divisional. The Super Bowl II champion Steelers missed the playoffs the last 2 seasons. They get destroyed 41-27 by the Titans, the second ever team to score more than 40 in a playoff game. The Steelers were down 35-7 at halftime. Tennessee's defense was the reason they won this game. Of course, Tannehill and Henry each had 2 touchdowns, and then a pick 6 for the Titans defense, along with 2 field goals. Pittsburgh and Ben Roethlisberger, not a good look for them. The 49ers have been battling injuries all season long. The Packers missed the playoffs last year. 2-time Super Bowl champs win at 35-14. Jeff Wilson, the 4th-string running back, had to play. The first 3 running backs all wiped out with ACL injuries. Nick Bosa was out for a good majority of the season. George Kittle went out week 4 and missed the rest of the season. Garoppolo was also out for 4 games. And then rounding out Super Bowl wildcard weekend, the Browns' first ever playoff appearance ends in a heartbreaking loss to their rivals in the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson didn't play very great, but it was enough to get the job done. Baker Mayfield played better, just the Browns could not find the end zone. Nick Chubb found it on a 1-yard rushing touchdown thanks to pass interference. A very defensive game to wrap up Super Wildcard Weekend. as we march into the divisional round of the 2020 NFL playoffs, as fans were not in attendance for all the games, so these games were really quiet. But Seattle, the 12th man, did not need their help in this win, 28-21, or the 12th man did not help them, rather. Russell Wilson had a good game, threw a pick late, which led to a Saints trying to come back, but it did not work out, as New Orleans still is yet to get to the NFC Championship game. Drew Brees is now officially retired, so now the Saints have many questions at the quarterback position. Then we go to this game. The Ravens, who were just a yard away from tying the divisional against Buffalo last year, they beat Buffalo this time 20-13 in 11-degree weather. Coldest playoff game in the season sim. Lamar, it wasn't as good as the Browns game, and the Ravens have only combined for 37 points in 2 games. Josh Allen and the Bills, they will not get back to the AFC Championship game. As Kansas City, the 1 seed, beating Tennessee in overtime in a very close game. Kansas City missed an extra point. Tennessee was down by 10 in the fourth quarter and came back to tie it and force overtime. Kansas City got the win. The third playoff game to go to overtime, of course, Super Bowl III, and then the Seahawks-Vikings divisional game last year. Kansas City moves on from a good game for Mahomes. And then the Packers lose in Lambeau for the first time in the playoffs. Tampa Bay wins it 28-17. And the Packers, of course, missed the playoffs last year. This will not help them redeem that. Rodgers, decent game. Tom Brady, a decent game as well. But, of course, Tampa Bay's defense, just like the Ravens in the wild card, was the main reason the Buccaneers won this game. Of course, their offense was good as well, but their defense was the main reason they won. So we go to the conference championship games. Seattle, Tampa Bay, and the Ravens, all their first time in the conference championship game. And we start with the NFC, 38-24. This was a beatdown, and Tom Brady will go back to the Super Bowl with a new team. Can he win his first Super Bowl is the question. 254 yards from Brady, 4 touchdowns and a pick, and the Seahawks not as lucky. Russell Wilson could not beat the Buccaneers, as Seattle, their first time as the 1 seed, was not fun in the NFC Championship game, as Brady will go to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs come back against the Ravens 39-36 to end Lamar's playoff run. The Ravens, who scored 37 points in 2 playoff games, put up 36 in this game. Mahomes, the game-winning touchdown with 1 minute and 3 seconds on the clock, threw it to Travis Kelce. Le'Veon Bell was signed for this game, who had 5 rush for 18 yards. Kelce, a big game. Of course, Mahomes, 238. But Super Bowl V will be the next one. The first team to ever host a Super Bowl in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Super Bowl V will be in Tampa, one of the most hyped up Super Bowls we will have. This is ASC, signing off.